Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you have already seen the title, we are going to work on this code, and this is going to work something like this. So if you run this application, you can see that there are going to be multiple attempts, and it is going to try 3 times to see if it is able to scrape the website or not. And this is the website that I'm trying to scrape, and here if you see, we see the successful message that it was able to scrape the website. Then we see a lot of information like title, heading, a lot of headings, and afterwards we see links, whatever links are provided in the page. And similarly, if you scroll down, you can see that there are images as well. So let me scroll down a bit.
A few moments later.
So here if you see, we have these images and we have the URLs as well, so we can take a look. Then we have a lot of paragraphs, so all the paragraphs are here. And lastly, you will see JSON LD data, and then we are done. So this is what we are going to scrape here, and this is what the output is going to look like. Now before we actually work on this code, if you are new to my channel, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel yet, please do. It's a simple thing. Now let's understand what we have to do to achieve this. So let's go step by step here. So if you see here, we have a lot of imports, but they are all of JSoup. So if you don't know about JSoup, this is a Java library for connecting to and parsing HTML documents, and it helps in retrieving and working with the HTML structure of a web page. So that is why we are using JSoup. Now talking about notes.document here, so this represents the entire HTML document loaded from the URL, and it is used as a starting point to access other parts of the document. Now talking about element, this represents a single HTML element, which could be your h1 for heading, and then img for images, and each element is like a tag in the HTML, and it contains attributes and inner HTML. So that is what I want to fetch through element here, and through document I wanted to fetch the entire web page. Now elements, so this is a collection of element objects, so it's like a list or an array of your element, and it contains or holds all selected elements from a query, right? Now this is just the exception which we can have when there is an issue with input output, such as network error while connecting to a web page. Alright, so here I have the max free tries as 3. That means that I will try 3 times till it can actually successfully use this URL for scraping, and if not, then we will throw an error, right? So here if you see, this is what we are doing. Now let me show you what we have here, so that we can understand what we are basically trying to scrape. So this is the URL that we are trying to scrape, and here if you see, we have a lot of paragraphs. So see, these all are your paragraphs, including this. Alright, so one key point here is, if you want to take a look, just click on inspect. Now if you take a look here, this is the entire HTML page which we are actually going to scrape. We are not working on this web page, we are working on this HTML page. So here if you take a look, we have a lot of hyperlinks, which is your A. Then you have a lot of divs here. Inside that you will have a lot of information. You have a lot of paragraph text. So if I click on this, so this is your paragraph here. I don't know which one, but yeah, this one maybe. So these are all the information that we are going to fetch using JSoup, right? So here we have a lot of images as well. So if you scroll down a bit, you can see this image. So this is one of the image, and similarly you will have a few images as well that we are having on this web page, right? Even this is an image. So this is I want to scrape. So I just did the segregation, like I want to fetch the title, I want to fetch paragraphs, images, link. So this is what basically you can have in simpler terms, right? Now let's continue here. So I was saying this here we have declared a constant which limits the number of times the application will try to connect to a URL. If there is a failure, Now here we have defined the URL that we want to basically scrape. So if you don't want to use Wikipedia, you can provide any URL here. That is going to work as well. Now let's talk about this method. So here we are calling the scrape method, which is what we have here. The scrape method in basic terms attempts to connect to the web page and download its HTML. Now let's dig deep into it. So here if you see, we have a while loop. So till we have reached the max retries limit, we will try and try, and if not, then we will try and try, right? And if in case there is something going wrong while trying to fetch the document, then in that case we will throw the IO exception here, and we will print the error message whatever we are getting, and we will also print the number of attempts that we have done till we got this exception, right? So this attempt basically is initialized to 0, and it will keep on incrementing till we have achieved what we want to, right? If in case we are not able to return the document, so this is a successful scenario where we are returning document. If we are not able to do that, in that case we will be returning null. And when we are returning null, in that case we are just printing an error that something went wrong. Alright, now talking about this try block, what we are doing here. So the very first thing, if you can take a look here, so this initiates a connection to the provided URL, whatever we provide here, using JSoup, and it prepares the connection but does not fetch the content yet. Till now we just created the connection, nothing else. Now talking about user agent, so it sets a custom user agent string to identify the request as coming from a web browser. And in this case, if you take a look, we are trying to mimic Google Chrome and Safari and Windows NT. Some websites actually block requests that don't have a user agent. That is the reason why we are setting this user agent. Now talking about timeout, why do we have it here? So this basically is for the connection. So it sets a timeout for the connection. If the request doesn't complete in that time, it will throw an exception, right? So I want to hold till 15 seconds. You can also try for 10 seconds. That is okay. Now this is the main thing here. So this executes the get request to retrieve the HTML content of the page and stores in the document object. Talking about this error handling, so like I said before, this catches any IO exception that occurs if the connection fails, such as your network failures or maybe timeouts, right? This is going to increment the counter, which we obviously want. Now one thing to notice here is that I only want to increment the attempts if I'm not able to fetch the document. That is when I'm going to retry to see if I'm able to fetch the document data one more time or not, right? So that is the main purpose here. Now here we are just printing an error message indicating the failure session, and we are getting the exact message as well. Now why do we have here 1 second delay? So this pauses the program for 1 second before actually retrying. So I just want to have a sleep here. So this helps avoid bombarding the server with a request. That's why you have 1 second delay. Now talking about this return null, so if all attempts fail, so we have 3 retries here. So if all the retries fail, in that case I want to return null here. Now let's go back from where we actually called this scrape method. So when you get the document data, you check if the document is not equals to null. So here we are just checking if the scraping was successful. If document is null, that means that scraping failed, which is that all retry attempts were unsuccessful. If it is successful, in that case we will call out extract content method. Otherwise we will just print out the error message, which is your scenario that the scraping failed. Now let's go to extract content. So this is what you want to fetch exactly from the document. So this is not actually generic. So for your website, for your URL, basically you will have different sort of information and you might have different sort of requirements to fetch. So it's not going to align here what I have done, but this is an example through which you can actually try to see what you can fetch. There are a lot of methods here. So if you take a look, you can use a lot of things, you can try a lot of things, and you can fetch the data as per your need. Now let's talk about what we have done here. So the very first thing is that I am getting and printing the page title using the document.title, and this title is what you look at the web page. I don't know what we call here, but somewhere along here, let me show you that. So if you take a look here, so this here says web scraping Wikipedia, so this is your title, right? So that is what we are fetching. So this extracts the title tag content. So this is what you see in the HTML page, and that's what we are fetching. Now for headings, basically, so you can have h1, h2 till h6. These are the types of heading tags that you could have in your HTML page. So I'm selecting all header texts using a CSS selector here and storing them in a list or elements array list, right? Now I'm iterating over each element, basically loops through each heading and extracts the text content of each heading and printing into the console. So this is the text content, the string basically that you are fetching from the heading object. Now talking about links, so these are your hyperlinks, which basically are your A tags in HTML page. So this finds all the A tags with href attributes, right? So whatever you have in A tags having href tags, that is what I'm trying to fetch here. And we get the URL in this links list basically, then we iterate over each link. So here if you see, we are segregating it in two parts. So the first part is your link attribute href and the other one is your text. So let me demonstrate to you. Like here if you see in the console, we have a lot of link, right? So this is what you can say is your href and this is your text. So it means that it is going to be the title and this one is going to be the URL. That's it. Alright, so when you click on a text, you see a hyperlink, right? Let me show you that. So if you see here, this is the title data scraping, but actually this is a link. So if you click on this, you will be redirected to another page. So yeah, so that's something like it. Now talking about images, so here there is one thing that I want to highlight. It's going to be exactly similar to what we have done here. So I used the img tags and got the src attribute, but here if you see, when I'm iterating over each image URL, I'm also getting the absolute URL. Why is that? So if I don't do absolute URL, in that case it will not give me the full URL. But if I want to, let's say, open the URL of that image, I won't be able to know like where actually it exists. So if I just give you the sample here, so let me take an example. So right now if you see, this is your full image URL which I am able to open. So if let's say I open this, so you can see the image here, right? But if you don't do the absolute URL, in that case you will only see this static images icons. So you need to know that it starts with wikipedia.org. So as I could have known, maybe because I know about it, but you won't be able to, because there are certain possibility that maybe this is the case or maybe this is the case, right? How would you know? So that's why you need absolute URL, for which I use this absolute URL method and got the complete full image URL and then printing that. Alright, now for paragraphs, similarly I have done the same thing that we are doing till now, and same goes for your meta description, meta keywords. Now talking about tables, we don't have tables here in this, but this is just an example that you can get the table here through this. This is your list of tables. Then you can get the table rows using tr text, then your table heading, table description here, and you can then print all of them separated by pipe character. So yeah. Now at last you have JSON LD data. Now if you are wondering what is JSON LD data, so this is basically your JSON for linked data, and this is considered as a lightweight linked data format, which basically allows data to be easily shared and understood by both humans and your computers, right? So why do we use it? We use it to structure data in a way that makes it accessible and meaningful to search engines, your social media websites, or maybe another application, right? So here if you see at the end, we have the JSON LD data, which pretty much looks gibberish, right? But let me tell you what we have here. So we have contextual information here, which basically defines the vocabulary and semantics of the data. And then you have type, basically which means that what type, and then name, what is the name, and then the URL, right? So a lot of information. So this basically is used in your maybe SEO, maybe search engine optimization, or API responses, or rich snippets. So I've used this example, but it's not going to be like that you have to use it. If you don't, then it's okay. Alright, so this is pretty much what you need here, right? So this is a very small code, but that is the but the reason is that the website was pretty simple. If you see Wikipedia, it's pretty old-fashioned, so that's why this is like this here. But if you have a heavily loaded website, then you have to look at the HTML page, what specifically you want to fetch, the tag you need to find out, and then you can fetch the tags data using the document object. So yeah, that is pretty simple. The only thing is that to figure out what or where basically the data is. Alright, so this is all about the web scraping through Java that I wanted to showcase here in this video. If you like this content, do press the like button. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do that, and I hope that we will meet in some another video. Till then, stay happy, keep learning, and bye bye.